All right, so hot one here today. Got to bend down and talk to you. The camera's pointed weird. Finally getting the 1600 on the lift. So let's do it. Got a little 10 seconds of sweeping to do. All right, we can clip this off of here for the audio. That in there, and we're ready. We're ready to go. So I'm trying to hold this big lens still. You can see how little this car actually is. Look at the space on that side of the lift. It's hard to tell on camera. Like a regular car, you got maybe a foot. This has like a good 2 foot. That's almost 2.5 foot there on either side. And yes, the X5 is up and running. It is all back together. I need to put the vanity cover back on it. But she's all up and going good. No problems at all. Starts right every time. Probably needs a little battery charger put to her, but you get the idea on that one. So this thing, the plan for today is to get up on the lift. First of all, get the wheels pulled off. Once the wheels are pulled off, we need to take them to the tire shop, drop them off to get the tires demounted from the wheels so we could paint the wheels, right? Now here's the next thing. Ordinarily wheels, you get them powder coated, you get all this stuff, all this and all that done. But these wheels, like this is all hubcap all the way out to right there. You can only see like a ½ an inch of the wheel and a little bit through there. So maybe instead of blowing $600, $700, $800 on sandblasting and powder coating and this and that, maybe we'll do the wheel paint and clear coat on those on the outside and inside the wheel. And also while they're off, we want to spec the barrels and make sure nothing's rusting through because it is a pretty old car. Once we get those off, we get in there, we'll be back. We're going to check everything out with all the wheels off. We need to order all the brake stuff, front and rear, because it's all kind of shady. At this point, we need to make a list of everything we need to get suspension wise for this car, right? We get at least that far done with it, and then once we have that far done with it, we can at least drive it. We could probably drive it with just the new wheels and tires on it. Go take it for a head cam drive and show you guys what it's like to drive one of these old time cars. And then after all that's done, like I said before, we'll get into the engine. We're gonna pull this engine. That should be pretty easy. It's like a little kid engine compared to what we've been dealing with. And once the engine's done, once that's out, we clean the engine bay. We can service the transmission, service all the clutch stuff. We can service the drive shaft, the rear pinion bearing, CV axles, and like the whole drive line. So once we get that far, get all that put it back in, then we can work on the paint. All right, so we already had these off once. So let's see how she goes now. Cause remember, right, taking off before wasn't exactly what anybody wants to call a good time. That's for sure. Fix you guys here in a minute. Microphone's kind of out of whack. Let me see what the situation with this was, if I can remember. You gotta be so careful with this. There it is. There it is. So that comes off, and then the little beady ring, as some people call it, comes off. We're gonna set that up here. I've seen there's a guy, somewhere I've seen a guy selling a new set of those hubcaps, or a really good set, So we'll definitely have to check into that. So next up, $19 maybe. Nope. Well, yep. Fits a little bit loose. I seen it came right down, so that's good. Then these wheels actually aren't that bad. They're a little bit dirty on the inside. You guys can't even see that. Let me do this. See, it's not really that bad at all as far as that goes. Like I said, a little bit dirty. Just very, very, very mild surface rust. I'm very hopeful that these will be good as far as the bead goes, or the tire mounts, and the inside won't be all rusted out. Hopefully that's the case. Whoa. A lot of you guys like, how can you put that on the car? Well, we got to repaint it, right? I mean, it's like the car is not good. Paint's not good right now, that's for sure. If it was a really nice paint job, and you guys know me, I would never set that on the paint. Ever, ever. You guys see me set something on the back of the M5, I think a Windex bottle. The back of the M5 has to be repainted, right? Came off real easy. This looks just like the other one. Put that over there, and we'll definitely have to, while we're in here, just to give you a better shot over here. Definitely had to get new strut, not new struts, new shocks. You can see a little bit of leakage right there. Got some weird light in here. But everything is nice and clean. You know, and a lot of you guys said, oh, there's rust in the bottom. Is there rust inside? No. There's not rust anywhere at all. It's like super, super, super good. We'll have to check the wheel bearings. The wheel bearings, take them off, take a look at them. If I could get the new drums, the brake pads on these are junk, and the, what you call it? The brake piece. I can't remember. The part that pushes the brakes out. Cylinder. To be totally honest with you, those are cheap enough. We're gonna just do all that stuff. The last thing you wanna do is be out driving this thing and have a problem with the brakes or a problem with something and take any chance at all on crashing this thing. This is not really a replaceable car at all, especially not here in the States at least. Not really what we're going for. Like I said, these caps aren't bad. Well, that one's dented. This one isn't bad, but it's just like, I don't know, probably polished out okay. It's got dings here and there and kind of like scuffs them over the years. You know, it just kind of is what it is. If I could find a nicer set, we'll do a nicer set. A lot of you guys ask about doing aftermarket wheels. I don't really want to do aftermarket wheels with this car because I don't think it's going to help the value of it. I think it's going to hurt the value of it quite a bit. I think at this point, probably the more stock, the better off we are, right? I truly think that these wheels are going to be just fine. You can see there's some bushings. I keep touching this camera. There's some bushings and stuff in here that maybe aren't up to par after, you know, from 1968. These discs, they don't look that bad, but we'll put nice new ones on it. Anything like this, we need to take a real close look at. And like, that's not even in the holder anymore, right? There's the holder. But all the hard lines in this car, the brake lines are really good. The front of this actually does have struts, so we'll see what's available for it. It's like a little baby, look at that. Little baby spring on there. But everything else up inside here looks really, really good. I mean, look at that. There's no rust. That up there is just like factory. This factory on the camera, it looks like it's rusty, but it's not rusty at all. Going back in there, you got the factory seam sealer. It's cracked a little bit. All the bolt heads back there are perfect. There's 10 mil bolts that hold the fender on back there. All that's perfect. All the bolts for all the trims are perfect. Just absolutely remarkable. You see what I mean here with this? The rubber grommet right there. How it's not, we'll say ideal. Here's a better look at the brakes. Has a little cap over the bearing, almost like a little single axle trailer. And even though we don't have any issue right now with these brake calipers functioning, if those aren't expensive, that's one other thing that we need to look at, because, or at least a rebuild. That'll all be things, if it sits for a while, like if they're not bad now, it might be later, and that might be a problem. So like right now, yeah, see, I can't even turn that. And it's not, that it's drag a little bit, so it definitely needs some brake caliper situation. It has bolts there, it might come apart. We'll look into all that stuff. Take the last one off here. This is the dented one. And see, like, it's just like the other side. You can turn it, but it's like not ideal at all, right? In the least bit. This is so difficult to get off. Get off of there. Man, I tell you what. Got the butterfingers today for some reason. We might be able to even push that back out. We'll have to mess around with it, but that's been knocked off the car at some point. You can see here. Maybe you can see that. There's like a scuff over the decal. So we'll take a look. A lot of these guys I've seen, they actually paint the centers of them. So we'll see if we get something a little bit better and to match the rest of it. This strut's leaking really bad. Or I forget about it. Turn that back up. Got a little bushing play on that one, boys. Got a little bushing play, we do. Let's grab you off the mount here. And pretty much all the fluids come out of that strut. You can see how wet it is, the oil. And then up here, look at the bushing on that. And that one's pretty crisp. And the boots tore on that. So definitely tie rods, those inner bushings, I can see playing that too. So pretty much all the bushings need to be done. All the connecting pieces for the steering need to be done. For what we've seen before, the steering box itself seemed not to have much play in it on this car. And that's a really good thing. So hopefully that's good. You can see just a tiny little subframe. And you can see it's just greasy. I mean, nothing's really super bad. But man, what an easy subframe. I could literally hold that subframe up with one hand. That probably weighs 15 pounds at the most. You can see how roached out that is. So not bad at all. The transmission looks like something out of a lawnmower. I actually think my lawnmower transmission is actually bigger than that. So we do have that. And the only thing is this exhaust. I don't think it's bad. We'll see what kind of systems they make for it. And then carrier bearings roached, as we've seen before. Her CV boots were roached about 30 years ago. So we'll see if CV axles are available for it or what's available for it and go from there. Look at this though, I want to show you guys. So the strut, there you go, why would you focus? The strut sets down in here, sets in a cup. The strut sets in a cup on the spindle. Then it has 3 bolts, look to be 14 mil or some variant of, that sit in the cup. Then it has a ball joint up in here, if you could even see that or not. There you go. Has a ball joint that sits on the A-arm that has rivets holding the ball joint in. So I'm gonna guess that doesn't really go bad. It's more like a pivot than a ball joint. But man, talk about interesting. The next thing is, look at the size of the spindle. The size, that's my finger. The spindle's 4 inches tall. That's probably 2 inches at the max from the cup to the top of that. I tell you what's gonna be really nice is the shipping on parts of this car is gonna be almost nothing. And that's gonna be sweet. You know, we're used to doing, anything we do is like big parts, man. It costs so much to ship stuff, it's difficult to ship it. You could throw those spindles in a damn flat rate envelope and send them right out. Hopefully we won't need the spindles though. I also probably wouldn't take a whole lot to bend one of those. So I have to be aware of all that. Just like anything else, there is no camber adjustment, it's only toe. And yeah, we'll do that with the tie rods. Everything else, I mean, I'm just really happy with this car. Okay, let's go to the garage. Let's see if they'll put these or demount these for us today so we get started on it. Hopefully they can, but we'll see. Okay, so the wheels still are not, the tires are still not taking off the wheels. I was wanting to get those painted for this video. It's just not gonna happen. And that's what's so difficult about fixing cars and making videos. Either you're waiting on parts, if you have to wait on somebody else to do something, it takes time and time and time and time and time, right? And so I decided to go ahead and upload this video. Now what I did get all the brake stuff ordered. So I figured that's the most important thing at this point, right? I ordered all the brake hardware and the piston rebuild kit for the front brakes. Also the rear brakes. I keep on forgetting what you call them, the little piston things in here that push it out. I need to get on the rear brake pads. I did find somebody selling the set of 4 of all the rubber lines. I'm just trying to make it so like I don't die, right? When a car is just sold, anything rubber to do with the brakes is gonna keep you from stopping. Not only that, if you just crash into something small and mess this car up, I mean, then what, right? You're not gonna go buy another one, that's for damn sure. I think I found the rear drums and all that stuff. There is a lot of little tidbits to these, and I don't know this car super well, so I don't know every little piece. What I'm trying to do is all these bushings, try to find a kit that's all put together. Otherwise, I have to piece it all together. And what happens, you could do that, you're gonna pay more for it, and you're gonna miss things, and you're not gonna be able to put it back together as fast, because you'll be waiting on more stuff. These front struts are just cartridge struts. That slips out of the top. I also ordered the top strut mounts for this thing, because I'm pretty sure that these are not going to work out very much longer at all. At all. Like not even 5 more minutes. So I did look, I plan on taking these fenders off, but I do see up here that it's all one piece, right? And you have to cut that or something. I'm not sure what people do with that. We're going to have to look. There's a seam down here, but not up here. All the rest of the fender, all bolts on. None of the bolts are rusty. Everything's great. So I think the plan right now is, at some point in time today or tomorrow, get the wheels back up here, get them repainted, get them clear coated, do all that stuff to them, get the new tires mounted on, get it put back on here. And I think the next trip we're going to have to be is to the car wash, which is only like essentially a quarter of a mile away, right? Hopefully it runs good enough to get that far, especially with those CV boots in the back being like missing. But we're not going 100 miles an hour, we're going about 20 miles an hour. Like I said, about a quarter of a mile away. Take it to the car wash, or I could high pressure spray up under everything. Try to get everything I can under the car, any kind of grease off the subframe before we take anything apart. Every little bit of that I get off now is going to be way easier to deal with later on. And then I have a leaf blower laying over there with a turn up on it. Like after it's washed, we get up under the fenders and blow any kind of dirt or dust or anything that's up in there out. Then once we do that, we can put it back on the lift. And once it's clean on the bottom, put it back on the lift, figure out what it is I want to spray the bottom of the car itself with, because it's not rusty at all. And some kind of rust inhibitor paint or something, but it's got to be all degreased and 100% clean. Once we go that far with it, you know, we'll have the subframes out by that time, the engine out on the stand, the transmission, and that'll allow me to buy every hose, every gasket we need for the engine. While it's here on the stand, we'll make videos about all that stuff. Like I said before, we're just repeating myself again. And the very end, we'll end up doing the paint work, very last, and the interior, and those things. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. We'll see you later.